We do have an Australian team. We've got Avi Yamini, who immediately went live, and everybody who works behind Avi. You see Avi, but there's a whole team that just jumped into action with Avi yesterday as he did his best to cover the news as it was breaking. And many of you know that Avi served in the IDF. So this is very close to home for him, not only as an Australian, but as a proud Australian Jew. So Anthony Albanese, he is the Australian Prime Minister. He's facing mounting pressure over his government's response to anti-Semitism, or his lack of response to anti-Semitism. I think we're seeing the fruits of the lack of his labor over the deadly Bondi Beach terror attack, with Israeli officials and international figures issuing stark warnings to Australian leaders. So it's the deadliest attack targeting Jewish civilians since Hamas militants killed 1,200 people in southern Israel on October 7th. Maybe we can go to this clip from Netanyahu, Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu, slamming Prime Minister Albanese for his weakness. And he goes one step further, inciting anti-Semitism. I think I'm being probably too fair to him when I say he has turned a blind eye to it. A lot of the Western world has actually enabled it through hands-off policing, or even recognizing a Palestinian state as a reward for their terror attack. So let's go into this clip.
On August 17th, about 4 months ago, I sent Prime Minister Albanese of Australia a letter in which I gave him warning that the Australian government's policy was promoting and encouraging anti-Semitism in Australia. I wrote, "Your call for a Palestinian state pours fuel on the anti-Semitic fire. It rewards Hamas terrorism. It emboldens those who menace Australian Jews and encourages the Jew hatred now stalking your streets. Anti-Semitism is a cancer. It spreads when leaders stay silent. It retreats when leaders act. I call upon you to replace weakness with action, appeasement with resolve. Instead, Prime Minister, you replaced weakness with weakness, and appeasement with more appeasement. Your government did nothing to stop the spread of anti-Semitism in Australia. You did nothing to curb the cancer cells that were growing inside your country. You took no action. You let the disease spread. And the result is the horrific attacks on Jews we saw today. We saw an action of a brave man, turns out a Muslim brave man, and I salute him, that stopped one of these terrorists from killing innocent Jews. But it requires the action of your government, which you're not taking. And you have to, because history will not forgive hesitation and weakness. It will honor action and strength. That's what Israel expects of each of your governments in the West and elsewhere, because the disease spreads and it will consume you as well. But we are worrying right now about our people, our safety, and we do not remain silent. We fight those who try to annihilate us. They're not only trying to annihilate us, they attack us because they attack the West. In Syria, we saw yesterday 2 American soldiers killed and 1 American interpreter killed as well, killed because they represent our common culture. Now, as a result of this, Secretary of War Pete Hegseth said the following. He said, "Let it be known that if you target Americans anywhere in the world, you will spend the rest of your brief, anxious life knowing the United States will hunt you, find you, and ruthlessly kill you." We send our condolences to the people of America. And I want to say that our policy is exactly that policy. That's why those who target Israelis, target our soldiers, try to kill them or try to hurt them and wound them, as happened in Gaza yesterday, we take action. They will spend the rest of their brief, anxious lives knowing that Israel will hunt them, find them, and ruthlessly dispose of them. That is American policy. This is Israel's policy. It's our policy in Gaza, in Lebanon, anywhere around us. We do not sit by and let these killers kill us.
He's exactly right. The Albanese government bears a burden here. They share a lot of responsibility for having done nothing, and worse than nothing, condemn the Israelis for defending their people. And now the murder has come to their shores. And now what? Should the world condemn the Albanese government if they decide maybe at some point to defend their Jews? Because, I mean, that's what Israel's doing. Israel is being condemned for defending their Jews. Unarmed cops, by the way. Unarmed cops, a police station up the road, unable to do anything because they have disarmed their civilians in this country by and large. Tamara, I haven't let you say very much, so I'll just be quiet now and let you have your say.
Well, the most disturbing part for me is just some of the ages. Like these were innocent. I mean, any death is a tragedy, and this is even marked more senseless by the fact that they're celebrating a highly sacred religious holiday. And there was a 10-year-old involved. Yeah. 15 people so far. Their counts could be more.
16, including it's 16 now.
There you go. Including a 10-year-old and a Holocaust survivor were killed.
Yeah. Are we still saying it's about Israelis? Or can we disabuse ourselves of that stupid excuse? Because there's no reason why you're targeting a Hanukkah celebration in Australia if this were about Israelis. We'll get to it later, but they're also targeting Hanukkah celebrations here in Canada. You want to tell me it's still about Israelis? It is definitely not about Israelis. This is a bigotry as old as time, and you're using the Israelis defending their people as your new excuse for your age-old bigotry. Here's what we can tell you about the shooters involved. My goodness, a 10-year-old. The shooters were father and son, aged 50 and 24 respectively. According to the Australian Home Affairs Minister, Tony Burke, the father arrived in Australia in 1998. Guess what? On a student visa. Later transferred to a partner visa in 2001, and then he obtained a resident return visa. The son, of course, was Australian born. The father was killed at the scene. He's a member of a gun club. He possessed at least 6 licensed firearms. We'll get to that in a second, because that is already what they're going to do. They can't deal with the fact that they've got a problem with anti-Semitism that they could very easily and quickly deal with. They're going to blame licensed firearms owners. Licensed firearms owners could have put a stop to this a hell of a lot quicker than what happened if there were just one of them there. If somebody there knew how to use a firearm, but nobody did.
If the police had firearms.
The son, okay, and also, if somebody in your immediate family has ties to ISIS, he should not, look, I'm not cheering for stricter gun control here, but why does somebody have 6 firearms when their son has ties to ISIS? Because he did. His home he had been known to police since 2019 for close ties to a Sydney-based Islamic cell. But he was deemed not an immediate threat. Both gunmen had pledged allegiance to the Islamic State, and 2 Islamic State flags were found in their car. There's also another man and a woman taken into custody post this. So this looks like a terror cell. But instead of a little bit of self-reflection, instead of saying 16 innocent Jews are dead because we failed to act on this rising tide of anti-Semitism, the government is blaming right-wing terror. We've got a clip here. Right-wing extremist groups. This is not a right-wing extremist group. This was an Islamic radicalized terror cell, it sounds like, that has been given license to operate, and everybody turned their eyes away. Let's see this clip from Cauldron Pool.
We take ASIO's advice very seriously. We work closely with them. We receive regular updates as well. The Director General of ASIO has warned about a range of threats, be it anti-Semitism, the rise of right-wing extremist groups as well. And we continue to work closely with our security agencies.
Right-wing
Yeah,
extremists.
I would say it's the very opposite.
Sure it is.
It's the left wing, violent left wing extremist agitators that are equally and similarly here in Canada unleashing on our streets unabated every single weekend.
It's not farmers, ranchers, conservatives, blue-collar builders types that are marching with the Hamas radicals every single week in every city in the Western world. It's the unions, it's academia, it's the bureaucracy. Those are not your right-wing strongholds. These people can just quit trying to gaslight people. They failed. Now people are dead. And guess what they're going to do? Prime Minister says, this is from the Wall Street Journal, the Prime Minister of Australia says the suspects acted alone while they arrested 2 other people. But even if it was just the 2 of them, that's not a lone wolf attack. That's a terror cell. And they pledged allegiance to ISIS. So it sounds like a broader thing. He calls for further tightening of gun laws after the deadly Hanukkah shooting. If they had armed security, if the police were armed, 42 people would not be injured, including 2 unarmed police, and 16 people dead. They have some of the strictest gun control in the world. I want to know how you licensed these people when they had links to ISIS already. How did that happen? Why is it hard for the guy to get a hunting license and a regular hunting rifle to go plink a 22 down at the range? Why is it harder for that guy, but the ISIS guy got 6 firearms? That's a failing of the system. Fix the system. Don't impose your failings on the rest of us and harm the rights of innocent people. We've got another, I think this is from us. No, Daily Mail. A woman disrupts the Bondi Beach vigil. Of course.
Already.
Does this woman look like a right-wing extremist? She looks like everybody's aunt who works for the government.
All Jews have the right to mourn. You said you've been speaking here repeatedly. Why have you come today?
Because I have come today because I am Jewish and because I wore my keffiyeh, because the Zionist Jewish community politicised this event by making it associated with the
People asked you to leave at the event. People asked you to leave at the event. Why did you remain?
because I'm a Jewish person entitled to mourn.
You've antagonized a lot of people today, a lot of police resources to protect you today. Do you think that's fair?
I hope that those resources are needed to protect me from a bunch of Zionist Jews who want to
Zionists. There it is. Yeah. Does she look like a right winger to anybody? She looks like one of those people who's actively engaged in litigation against the convoy for honking too loud. You know, give me a break that lady and I would ever travel in the same circles. They want to stick this on somebody else instead of themselves.
It's exactly the type that you see out on the streets, protesting, chanting genocide with their keffiyehs and their pro-Hamas rhetoric on the streets of Canada. It reminds me of that one. There's this one, and I think that article actually calls her a serial protester. And there's one we have in Canada also who has been held in jail. I don't remember her name.
Deanna Sharif? Is that her?
Thank you. Thank you. And this woman reminds me almost textbook of Deanna Sharif, who we have these serial protesters out on the streets. They're violent, they're aggressive, and they are agitators. And so this woman being marched away again by unarmed police, because if they had armed police, perhaps this devastation wouldn't have been so far sweeping. Then maybe the situation would have been able to be under control a lot faster.